Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. My name is Roshni, and I'll be the host for today. So I'm extremely overwhelmed to get this opportunity to address you all. Now, before we go ahead, let me just give you a brief introduction of our company Progist. So I'll share my screen. Give me 1 minute. So 1 in 5 employees experience some form of malicious emailing every day, and 2/3 of them fall prey to the fraudsters. Now, imposters defrauds your customers, suppliers, and employees by spoofing your domain names. And that's how the journey of Progist started in May 2017 by our founders, Mr. Bhavan Bhansali and Mr. Chaitanya Rao. Our flagship product, DMARC, was subsequently launched in November 2017, and we onboarded one of the largest Indian private sector bank by Jan 2018. So by Jan 2020, DMARC had already crossed the landmark of 200 customers across sectors. Now, Profish, our employee awareness and simulation platform, was launched in June 2020, and within the span of a year, we managed to onboard 25 plus customers. By August 2021, DMARC had already reached the milestone of protecting 400 plus brands. So this is a brief introduction of our company Progist. Now I'll just stop sharing this. So that's not all. To keep this webinar interactive, we would be having polls during the webinar and quiz at the end. So I would request all of you to participate and stand a chance to win an exciting goodie from us. So just to keep you updated, we would be having 3 winners selected on the basis of fastest fingers first, which means attendees answering the fastest with the correct answers would be rewarded. So good luck and have fun. Now, further communications on prizes to the winners would be done through email. Now, without any further ado, let me introduce you to our very first panelist, who is from the most solutions, DigiCert, that is Mr. Albert Cheng. Let's have a virtual round of applause for Mr. Albert Cheng. And our very second panelist, who is none other than the director, but also someone whom we look up to as a role model. And he's Mr. Savio Fernandez. Let's have a virtual round of applause for Mr. Savio Fernandez as well. So thank you so much to both of the panelists for joining in. Now I'll hand over to Mr. Albert Cheng. You can take over from here.
Thank you. Okay. All right, can everyone see my screen?
Yes, Albert.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Roshni, for the introduction. Again, my name is Albert. I'm the channel marketing manager at DigiCert. And it's my privilege today to talk about the topic of today's webinar, stand out from the email crowd with VMC and BIMI. So before we start, just a quick shout out to our friends at Progist for giving us this opportunity to speak at this webinar. We partner through AdWeb Technology. They are one of our Platinum Elite partners in India, and we've been working with them for many years. So through their relationship with these AdWeb, we have the opportunity here today to present this topic. So before we start, I want to give everyone a quick trip down memory lane on who DigiCert is and where we came from. So DigiCert was 2 branches. Originally, myself, I was part of the VeriSign secured on the left, we can see here, back in 1995. And throughout the years, DigiCert was formed in 2003. And then most of you on the call would know Norton or Semantic. So that bought the CA business, and then IoT, and then the last few years, Providers. And then here, today, 2021, we have DigiCert. So DigiCert, we have two legacy DigiCert, some VeriSign, and a bit of Semantic. And for today's agenda, we'll talk about the email's power, the security challenges, the power of brand emails, up close VMC details and the requirements, how to implement VMC, and then I'll pass it to Xavier to talk about Pro DMARC. Feel free to drop any questions throughout the webinar, type it in or raise questions, but we will also allow 15 minutes towards the end for anyone that wants to ask questions as well. All right, so as a marketer myself, email marketing is, I reckon, one of the most effective mediums that's happening at the moment. So email is still very important in your marketing mix, and it's part of the cohesive customer comms plan. So if we look at the diagram here, active emails at the moment is 4.1 billion as per Lumos, and 99% of users check their emails every day. And from an email communication, $42 is a return on investment for every $1 spent. Shoppers spend on average 138% more than when marketed to via email. I'm not sure about what's happening in India, but for myself today, we have the Black Friday. I know Black Friday is more of a US thing, but it's kind of like cultured into here. And yeah, I personally have received many discounts and emails from companies I've subscribed to. So yeah, these are the companies that I did buy some from. So that's kind of something I still believe in email marketing. And then email is 40% more effective than Facebook, Twitter at acquisition. So email is still fairly important when we talk about mediums and comparing to Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and whatnot. Email remains critical beyond marketing. So when we think about emails, we think about most of them as a consumer, like myself, I mentioned, receiving promotional updates, newsletters, and then all these updates from a consumer perspective as well. However, it's also important to, company updates from a B2B or even within an organization, order receipts, order tracking, and shipping information. And then again, as apart from like selling, you will get, your gas bills, your insurance bills, and government updates such as COVID or anything related. So those emails is sometimes we need to think at a bigger picture. But there is room for improvement. Based on what we've seen is 83% of all emails that are out in the world are trying to attack the user. And then, those emails are starting to look more and more real. So it's a very hard job for a person who's opening emails to determine whether or not these emails are real and what's not. The one on the right, 68% stat is interesting too. This basically says that the backers are changing things very quickly, adapting, improving the designs. The good news is that Google, Microsoft, and the others are trying to block a lot of spam. But the bad news is that much gets through, and this is where our brands are at risk. First, we want our emails to go through and get delivered. And we want our customers to be recognized that emails are from us, are real, and are safe. This is where BIMI, DMARC, and VMC ties together for you today. Increasing your deliverability rates, improving recognition of your brand. Your brand is seen not only emails are safe, protecting your customers, but we're hearing a report of 10% open rate for any users that are using VMC. So what could you do to protect your brand reputation? What would you do? You want to increase your deliverability, upgrade the inbox experience of your employee, your customers, increase open rates, and improve email security. So let's have a look at the next slide on the video and kind of like an overview on what VMC is.
There's been a war for the customer inbox since email marketing was invented. Authenticity was the first casualty, because anyone can masquerade as a legitimate company and blast an email, and everyone with their guard down can be a target. Until now. A groundbreaking new initiative that, for the first time ever, allows you to put your mark on email marketing. Literally. It's called a Verified Mark Certificate. A VMC confirms your brand complies with DMARC email standards and that your messages are legitimate and sent from your secure domain. And that means, rather than default initials, your customers see your logo in their inbox even before they open your email. Better visibility, better email security, better open rates, better user experiences. Verified Mark Certificates by DigiCert. It's time to take back the inbox.
All right, so what's the immediate benefits of VMC? Mentioned before in the emails as well. Increased email engagement. So displaying a logo in the inbox improves email engagement by 10% as per Verizon study. Greater security. Protect your brand and your customers for identity target attacks through DMARC compliance. Increase brand impressions. So customers will repeatedly see your logos in your emails. I'll give you a few examples, screenshots on how that stands out. And then stand out from the clutter. Enable your email to stand out from the pack. Deliver an authentic experience. Customers get a recognizable and unified brand experience from emails to conversion. So your brand is very important. And then we'll be showing up on how, BIMI with VMC allow more brand impressions within emails. Brand is critical to a business. It takes many years to build a brand. So anywhere we're trying to have our logos, or a company trying to, if it's a startup, you want to put a logo in front of a customer, or even, from a B2C perspective, it's any opportunity is worth the time and effort. Companies leverage brand in different ways on developing verticals, but across different verticals, brand yields results, so people may put brand first wherever possible. Okay, so I think you saw in the video. So VMC, Verified Mark Certificates, deliver your logo to inboxes. So on the left, that iPhone or the smartphone, this is what's happening without the VMC. So this is through a Gmail app. Doesn't matter, it's iOS or Android. You can see that without VMC, you'll see C or G. And then, so basically it's just a letter. However, on the right, if a company has VMC installed, they will appear their trademark logo as part of the inbox. So CNN, Groupon, they are a VMC user, so therefore that's standing out from the clutter. So mentioned here, brand protection. So millions of impressions control brand consistency, blocks unauthorized use of domains, decreases phishing, spam, fraud via DMARC. Savio later will talk about how this is possible with Pro DMARC. Deliverability on massive increases, your whitelisted, and visibility. So imagine the one without VMC, two logos or two companies without a logo, and then your company has a logo. From a marketing perspective, a customer would click, or a user will click on the one with the logo first because they know the logo, or it just stands out in general. So VMC stops brand abuse. So here's an example. Now we have Honda that doesn't have DMARC set up for the domain yet. So if a spam and security checks fail, then an email that looks very well, one that looks like it's from Honda might arrive. But if you have a look, you'll see that from the address, the problem is it's a complete fake, sent by someone totally unrelated to Honda. That's because Honda's domain doesn't have DMARC at all. As a result, it is easy to spoof. VMCs and return on investment. So email security via DMARC. Your customers phished and spoofed at a less chance. It's easy for customers to recognize, see your logo, and email was verified. Brand protection. Your validated trademark logo is displayed. a brand associated with a trusted verified emails and more impressions, increased email performance, deliverability rates rises, emails are whitelisted, open rates shown to increase by 10%. Okay, so I mentioned, VMC, there's a few requirements, and one of them is with BIMI, so brand indicator for message identification. So BIMI is an emerging standard that will help establish brand identity and trust on email channels. Brand gets control over how the email should appear on the consumer's mailboxes, and their massive businesses benefit due to free brand recognition and impression. Like the previous example I showed, I illustrated, is a larger example where Groupon and Anita or Aetna, they have VMC, whereas the middle one, the other retailer, does not have a VMC. Therefore, the logo is just blank. So from an aesthetics, Groupon and the other brand, Aetna, you can see the logo. Therefore, you can recognize, you can associate with that brand. So the question now, which mailbox providers that support BIMI? This is ever changing. I had to update this slide 2 times already in the last few weeks because it's always this moving pieces. VMC is a fairly new product from DigiCert. We launched this back in July this year. So it is fairly new to the industry. And a lot of providers are looking out on who is doing what. But as of now, this is from the BIMI group. Currently Yahoo, Gmail, Fastmail, these mail providers do support VMC. Oh, sorry, supports BIMI. And then considering BIMI in the middle. I think 2 weeks ago, Yahoo Japan does not support BIMI, but I think it was last week, and then shifted now to considering BIMI. So not all BIMI implements will offer an inbox view of the logos. Not sure if there's need to be it's BIMI is only one part of a requirement that will get you the VMC, which I'll talk about later. Okay, so BIMI prerequisites. Check, number 1, check if your logo is trademarked. Number 2, implement DMARC in the quarantine rejector mode. Get both verified by VMC. So in this case, VMC was one of the first customers that took the leap and they implemented the VMC. So the first organization to bring VMC benefits, valid DMARC record found, DMARC policy reject, you're getting the best BIMI coverage possible. BIMI logo is valid, certified brand logo found. So in terms of the my last slide, the VMC prerequisites, number 1, a registered domain with SPF and DKIM set up, DMARC set up as an enforcement level. So with our friends, our Pro DMARC, they will be able to help you with this process. So requirement for VMC logo to display correctly. Number 3, register a organization, EV, which is part of the TLS, the certificate product. So extended validated certificates validated. Domains must be CAA compliant. Organizations must have a valid BIMI record, which is possible with Pro DMARC again, or with the BIMI group. And number 6 here, it is a trademark logo through these offices. So the word is around, India will be soon available, listed as an approved location for trademark logo office, but that is yet to be announced, but it should be happening very quick. And then purchase VMC from a reputable CA, so such as DigiCert, we are a CA. Submit a logo, undergo a EV validation, online meeting, meet in person with a notary. So all these steps seem like a lot of process. However, there will be help from either Pro DMARC or AdWeb or DigiCert. Throughout the validation process, DigiCert will help. Logos, all these things are all part of the process that will help you. Please know it's a very new product, so we're testing, but for now we have seen good success and we have seen a few orders in India. But yeah, that's basically what's VMC. If there's any questions, feel free to type it out. If not, I will pass the board to Savio to talk about DMARC.
All right. Hi, Albert. Can you forward me the control of your system? Right, I got it, I guess. 1 second. Okay, all right. So, hello everyone, good evening. Thank you so much, Albert, for sharing this eye-opener session on how BIMI and VMC can be a game changer and increase or improve your organization's security and branding and take it to the next level. 1 second. So, as rightly highlighted by Albert, that the basic prerequisites for implementing or deploying BIMI and VMC is that your organization's domain has to be in reject or in quarantine mode. And who better than DMARC has a spectacular proven track record of having most of its customers in the enforcement mode, that is the reject mode. So just to give you a basic pre-review or a review of what DMARC does, DMARC is Asia's first and one of the most trusted DMARC analytical platform, which is focused on protecting your brands from spoof-based email attacks and caters to customers ranging from large corporates to small and mid-sized SMEs, including various industry verticals like BFSI, retail, healthcare, manufacturing, telcos, and e-commerce. DMARC protects more than 1 billion plus customers, vendors, and partners of our esteemed clients, including more than 200 million plus banking customers, more than 550 million plus telco customers, 200 plus insurance and AMC customers, 13.2 million plus taxpayers, 86.5 million investors, and more than 100 million plus consumers of e-commerce, pharma, and conglomerates. Albert, can you move to the next slide, please? I'm not able to do so from my screen. All right, thank you so much. So coming to the first step of BIMI implementation, that is the DMARC enforcement. And for that, we need to understand what DMARC is. So all these major service providers of the world, like the Yahoos, the Gmails, and the Hotmails, they knew that email in itself had a problem where it couldn't verify the sender of the email. So that's wherein they all came together and formed this consortium called as DMARC, which is an open email standard that ensures that only your authorized senders can use your mail domain to send emails to your customers, partners, and your employees. So DMARC basically, Albert, next slide, please. Yeah. So DMARC basically works on two main key pillars. The first one being SPF, that is Sender Policy Framework, in which you define all your authorized senders. So now what do you mean by authorized senders? Your authorized senders can be the one, which your employees use for basic emailing, like your Office 365, your Exchange, your G Suite, and it could include your mass mailing service provider which your business team uses to send promotional emails to your customers. It can also be your online CRM system, your online HR system like a Zing HR. So you define all the IP addresses of all these authorized senders in your SPF record, communicating or telling the world that, okay, now this is my set of IP address from which my emailing would come. So any IP other than this set of IP is not my authorized senders. Coming to the next slide, and one slide back, yeah. So coming to the next slide, which is DKIM, this is another key pillar of DMARC, which is nothing but a basic PKI-based concept in which all your outgoing emails are stamped using the private key, and the recipient would decrypt it using your public key. So once you deploy the SPF, DKIM, and set your DMARC into the enforcement mode, the recipient email box would validate each and every email that is coming from your domain name to check whether the inbound email is passing SPF, DKIM, and accordingly take a call as per the policy that has been set in your DMARC record. So these are, one side. Yeah. So these are some of the key benefits of implementing DMARC. First one being the security. So it protects your customers, partners, and your employees from phishing and other spam-related frauds by blocking unauthorized use of your emailing domain. DMARC provides you visibility of your entire domain. By implementing a solution like ProDMARC, it gives you the visibility of your entire emailing architecture in terms of who all are mailing on your behalf, be it your authorized senders, your genuine senders, the reputation of the senders, how many of them are passing DMARC, failing DMARC, and the threat intelligence as well. DMARC also helps in increasing the mail deliverability. So implementing the SPF, DKIM, and DMARC increases the credibility of your domain. It also tells the world that the recipient, it also tells the world, maybe the recipient server, that the sender is a verified sender and it is safe to receive his messages. And overall, it increases your brand protection as well. Post implementing DMARC, 42% of customers are less likely to engage in such phishing or scam related frauds. Next slide, please. So how do you check your DMARC and BIMI records? It's pretty simple. Go down to our website, prodmarc.com, and you'll get an option to check, to put in your domain name, your emailing domain name, and check what is your current DMARC statistic. Or you can either reach out to us directly and we'll help you out with the same. Coming to why ProDMARC. So we are Asia's first and the most trusted DMARC analytical platform. We are pretty much scalable, right? From small to mid-time SMEs to major multinational conglomerates with multiple brands and hundreds of domain names. You don't need to, manually update any DNS updates. We, in fact, ProDMARC manages all these updates on your behalf by the platform itself. We also have this feature of automatic subdomain detection, by which our tool automatically detects any subdomain that has been created without the knowledge of your team, and we automatically enroll it and apply the DMARC records to the same as well. ProDMARC has the highest threat intelligence in the Indian subcontinent, as we process close to 5 billion emails in a month. And through our Pro Discover module, we identify and help you out with a similar and lookalike domain that is being generated to your domain. Next slide, please, Albert. So these are some of the international brands that have already taken advantage of VMC through DigiCert, including the likes of Groupon, Grubhub, Ericsson, Wix, B&O, and many more. So these are some of the VMC and BIMI resources that you can get into and do your own research by going into the below listed websites for the same. All right. So we are running a special promo offer for all our existing employees, for all our existing customers who are already on DMARC, wherein we'll help you out with the implementation of BIMI and VMC. So this offer for the initial few customers is valid only till 31st December 2025. So, all right then, we are open for question and answers. So if you have any queries, you can please put it down on the chat box. Over to you, Roshni.
Thank you to the panelists for showing your knowledge on such great topics, BIMI and VMC. Now, as Savio said, if you all have any question and answers related to the topics, you can just put down that on your Q&A sections. So any of our panelists can take up that question. And right now we have a poll as well. So you can just answer the poll. You might be able to see that on your screens. In the meanwhile, we will also have a quiz, which will be on your screen as well. You'll be able to see that on your screen. So I see people are answering. We need all of your participation. So that will be much appreciated. Again, I'll just repeat myself. If there are any questions, I believe there's. Okay, so I believe Santosh Malavde has a question. Is BIMI applicable to the top level domain? So Albert, if you could just answer his question, you could just solve his query.
Okay, so I believe so, but yeah, I'm pretty sure it is, but I'll need to check with my engineering team. But as of now, yes, that's correct.
I believe.
Or should I type it?
I'll just check for another question. I believe there's another question. Give me 1 minute. Okay?
So I'll just reconfirm Albert's answer to what Santosh had asked. So Santosh had asked whether BIMI is applicable to all top level domains. So yes, BIMI is applicable to all domains, subdomain, and the base domain as well. So we have another question, Albert, from Naresh. Does it support on Lotus Notes emails? So which I guess Albert has already answered.
No.
He unfortunately not at this point in time. So in one of the previous slides, we had already highlighted which all clients support BIMI and VMC. Albert, can you please go to that slide? That would be better for everyone to understand.
Yep, let me find it. So I guess does it support kind of as an open-ended question. So VMC is currently only supported by Gmail. So I'm not sure if does it support means BIMI or is it VMC? But VMC currently is listed on here. What's the mailbox providers, but VMC currently is only through Gmail.
All right. So just to add on what Albert said, BIMI at this moment is supported only through major service providers like Google, Yahoo, AOL, Fastmail. So, but BIMI not being supported by your Microsoft Office 365, your Outlook, or your Lotus email doesn't really much impact at this moment to us as an organization, because most of our customers and our partners are mostly using emailers like Gmail and Yahoo only. So for them, as part of that thing, it is better that our logos would be depicted in the emails which are being received in the inbox of our customers on Google and Yahoo. Obviously, our employees at the moment won't be able to take the benefit of the BIMI being employed, as most of the organizations are on Office 365 and the others, which was highlighted, maybe Lotus email or on Exchange, because Office Microsoft doesn't support BIMI at this point in time. But for the customers, it is very much supported, as more than 90% of our customers would be using Gmail and Yahoo Mail itself. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, that's a good point, Savio. Gmail is probably one of the largest from a consumer's perspective. So depending on the type of organization, the type of email, and the communication that they want to send out, it will reflect to the audience that's using the Gmail application.
Okay, I believe there's another question by Sanjay Pai. How can we take advantage if Microsoft is not yet actively involved yet for O365? That's
Again, I think from DigiCert, from a VMC perspective, I mentioned the VMC product is very new to the product to the industry. We started this in July this year, so we're only in 4 months. So it's a lot of working pieces that's still moving around at the moment. But as of now, it's still just Gmail. A lot of providers are just sitting back and looking what's happening and seeing what the interests are. But yeah, as of now, it is only Gmail. It doesn't mean Apple or Microsoft or other providers won't join, but as of now, yeah, it's just Gmail.
There's another question by Rajiv Verma. What is the adoption level of DMARC in BFSI vertical?
Albert, I would answer that question. So, as DMARC is mandated by most of the regulators like your RBI, your SEBI, your other regulators as well. So the adoption in BFSI domain for DMARC is pretty much high. But still, at this moment, many mid to small time BFSI organizations are not sure how to go ahead with the DMARC thing. So they have got a mandate from the regulators, but they are still trying to implement it on their own. So the problem of implementing DMARC on your own is that you won't have complete visibility of your emailing architecture. You won't come to know whether your organization's genuine emails are being blocked or no. The main reason behind a solution like Pro DMARC is that normally what happens is if you try to implement DMARC on your own, there is a high likely chance that you might miss out on some of your genuine mail senders. And without having the complete visibility of your emailing architecture, you go ahead and you go on an enforcement mode or the reject mode of DMARC, you might still miss out on some of your genuine senders, some of your mass mailers, because many a times it's happened that our business team does the shadow IT kind of a thing, wherein the technology team is not aware that a business is interacting with a new mass mailing service provider to send a campaign on behalf of the organization. So at that point in time, there is a high likely chance that your genuine emails might end up or in the junk folder, or if you're in the reject mode, it might end up being blocked at the perimeter level itself. Right. So I guess there's one more question by Mr. Ramesh. Either BIMI should be there for both sender and receiver, or if anyone has it, can it be validated? So Albert, do you want to answer that question?
Sorry, could you repeat the question? Oh wait, it's just coming through now.
Second.
Can you please explain how to integrate BIMI into 365? Is that the question?
I also, that question got misplaced in too many.
I believe the question Savio is talking about is from Ramesh, if I'm not wrong, Savio?
Yes. So I'm not able to find that question.
Okay, it's either BIMI should be there for both sender and receiver, or if any one has, it can be validated.
It has to be the sender. Can you see my screen? So here's the prerequisites for BIMI. So it is from a org level, not a end user level, if that makes sense.
There's a question by Kiran Belsekar. Any timelines for Microsoft supporting BIMI?
Yeah, so I think I've answered that. There's no timeline yet. Currently, it is only Gmail. So Apple Mail in Outlook or 365, there's no timelines yet. We believe they are still looking and seeing what the feedback is from the the users and see if there's good uptake. But as of now, is Gmail.
So we have one more question from Mr. Ramesh. How about VMC? Is that to be with the sender like BIMI? Yeah, the sender has to implement VMC.
Yes. So there is no requirement from an end user. It is from the sender itself. So the sender will need to do all the, let me find that, would need to go through the steps for it to have the VMC implemented. There's no action required from the end user. So I think one other important thing to note is VMC, there is no limit on how many emails you send. So the pricing, let's say, will scale. If you send 10 emails for the price of VMC versus, let's say, 100,000 emails will be the same price for VMC. And then what I mentioned in the first slide, for each dollar that you spend, approximately $42 is back in terms of revenue. Yeah, that's a slide. So there is no limit on how many VMCs there is for an email to send out. So VMC is price calculated by domain. So a different company will have different domains, but subdomains will be additional cost, but it will be at a different cost than the main domain. But again, it's not by how many emails you send.
So there's one question from Indu. Can you please explain how to integrate BIMI in Office 365? So I'd like to clarify first on that. So Indu, if you're talking about implementing BIMI and VMC at the recipient end in Office 365, that is not possible. But if you are on Office 365 but you want to implement BIMI and VMC for your customers who would be on Gmail and Yahoo, then it can be implemented. So I guess Albert can shed more light on that.
That's correct. So it's not the sender. So if the sender is on 365, it's okay. It's the user that is dependent on that determines whether or not they can see the logo in the email. So if you're 365 or you're on, I don't know, was it the other different types of email providers? Doesn't matter, as long as you are VMC enabled. Any emails you send as a customer or employee that is on a Gmail, they will see the logo.
All right.
So it's not dependent on sender.
All right. So there's one more question from Kundan. So Kundan has another question. Implementing DMARC and BIMI will help secure our outgoing emails and thus securing a brand. How is it going to help identify incoming phishing spam email? We still need to have a separate solution for scanning all incoming emails. So Kundan, to answer your question, DMARC protects your organization from spoof-based email scam. So be it an outbound going emails or be it an inbound email. So other than that, it won't be able to protect if someone is trying to send you an email using a different mail ID, using a lookalike mail ID. DMARC won't be able to protect. But if someone is trying to impersonate your mail domain using your exact mail ID and sending an emails to your customer, your partners, or your employees, it would be protected via DMARC. So normally your inbound DMARC protection would be present in your email gateway. Whatever email gateway that you'll be using would have an inbound DMARC check. If you enable that, your inbound email gateway would check for all the emails that are being sent or that are being received by your mailing domain or your inbound email. I hope I answered your question.
Yeah.
So
I think the other question
Albert,
was
question from Ruben.
Yeah. Sorry, I just want to emphasize another point from Zakudan Patil, the one just mentioned, DMARC and BIMI. From a VMC perspective, I think an example here would be it will increase the brand reputation or the brand imaging. So for example, Progist, if they have VMC implemented, they send something out, the user will see Progist's logo in their mailbox, and that logo, because they've gone through the validation of VMC, they've gone through BIMI and DMARC. There is a process that they've gone through, and then we have to validate the identity of the company employee. So there's a few validation process that's happening for it to have, for Progist to use VMC. So there is a background check, I guess, to make sure that this company is a legitimate company with a proper trademarked logo. So that's kind of like helps reduce, but doesn't completely stop phishing.
All right. So we have another question from Ruben. Where do we have to upload the company logo for BIMI? Is it in the DNS or any other portal?
Let me find the slide. Give me a sec. Oh, wait, sorry, just fine. Sorry. So you go through the here. So you don't need to upload your logo to BIMI, but you need to have organization valid BIMI record. So go through here. Point 5.
So Ruben, you can verify it in point 5, I guess, and I guess Chaitanya has already replied to your query.
So Indu is asking, if a sender or receiver is both using 365 and the sender is implemented BIMI, the receiver can still see the branding logo receiver. So BIMI is only one of the requirements for VMC. So the VMC part is the one that implements the logo, not the BIMI. So if I can find, going back to the slide. Sorry. So yeah, so just so I know, we need to BIMI is on and DMARC plus a few validations will then give you VMC, which is basically the logo. So if your sender is using Outlook 365, the user is using 365, unfortunately not, your logo will not appear in that because logo is only available when the user is using Gmail.
So just to add on to what Albert said, Indu, so currently at the recipient's end, only Gmail and Yahoo and AOL have implemented or accepted the BIMI and VMC as a standard. So rest all Microsoft had not yet accepted publicly. So I guess maybe in the future roadmap, even Microsoft and Office 365 would also start accepting and the BIMI and VMC as well.